Alright, here's today's mail for the store. Let's see what fun stuff came for us to work with. Alright, so let's see what came in. This is an auction shipment. So first thing we have here is a Genesis Model 2. They did an okay job with the packaging. Most auction houses don't actually care, so I'm glad that this one did alright. Next item is a hefty one, and it's going to be an OG Xbox. That's about to break it. All of these are going to need to be cleaned, so the first thing we do is just conduct a general inspection of the items. Make sure that we received what we were supposed to. This one's going to be the more important thing, and it's none other than a Saturn. If you know, this is one of my favorite things to sell and collect for. They're all in pretty decent condition so far. Let's see if they sent us the rest of our items. Alright, we're dropping everything. We have an Interact Memory Card Plus. We have an NHL 94, which, you know, whatever. We've got a remote for playing DVDs on the Xbox. College Football 95, no biggie. Joe Montana. We'll probably just bundle these with the Genesis whenever we clean it, test it, and get it ready to sell. And then last but not least, we got a S controller for the Xbox. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move it over to the bench and test it, make sure that it's good to go, clean it, then take pictures. Okay, so we're on the bench now. I did go ahead and clean the contacts on these games just to save a little bit of time, and if you can see, they were in need of it. I actually went through 2 of these, and the consoles came with no cables. But if you know me, I'm a big preacher of always keep one of everything. So always make sure you're stocked up on cables, AC adapters, converters, you name it, you know, save it. Be that one dad that saves every cable just in case. But if you are selling, don't be afraid to buy just cables by themselves. When you see them, you will come across consoles where no controller, or you're missing an AC adapter, or this, that, and the other, and you end up getting a good deal. But anyway, so let's do a real quick test. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to confirm functionality before we go through the hassle of making this look pristine, because that's what we do here, and that's what all sellers should do. You should always make sure that you're giving good products, because people are giving you their money. Okay, another tip that I've shared is to make sure you have plenty of switch boxes, both for composite and for HDMI. These are godsends and big time savers. I've also talked about the setup for a test bench. I don't want to move the camera from its stand right now, but I have another video where I tell you everything that you're supposed to have in order to facilitate testing if you're going to be selling video games or electronics. Okay, and let's start with our first game. One of the good things about consoles like Genesis, the Super Nintendo, the Nintendo 64 is that they're very reliable. Seldom do we find these in a condition where they don't work. A lot of times they just need a cleaning. So look, right out of the gate. So we know that this Genesis works, and the game does as well. So that's great. You know, this came from an auction, which means we got a good deal. So that's one game. I'll go through these real fast. So I still got to clean everything, every nook and cranny. You know, our toothbrushes, our soft bristle brushes. You guys have probably seen some of our videos. We go through everything. That's why it looks chaotic here. A little bit of chaos is fine. We'll finish on the last Genesis game. I really enjoy cleaning these systems too, by the way. I love the way they turn out. Okay, so we're done with the Genesis for as far as testing. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, our next one is going to be the Saturn, and I did spare you guys the hookup process. For this system, we are going to need to have a controller plugged in, because more than likely the battery on the back is dead. And that's another one that falls into the rule of make sure to have some of everything. If you're going to be doing video game resale, you're going to need to be replacing batteries on some of these older consoles. The Dreamcast is another one that has one. over here, but that's a whole other conversation. So we have our controller plugged in, everything's plugged in. We got power, which is great, and of course, as mentioned previously, it's 1994. So what you want to do when you're testing a system that has a laser reader is you want to start off with a disc that is known good. In this particular case, we're going with old trusty Madden 98, and this disc is in pretty good condition with, honestly, there's no real blemishes. Most people would list this as great condition or like new. I tend to downplay it because I prefer for my buyers to get a nice surprise when they buy something. So usually I'll just list things as good. You know, something would have to be mint for me to say like new or great condition. So fingers crossed. I did wipe the laser with a Q-tip and some isopropyl because it was very dusty in there, and we hear movement, so hopefully this laser still has some life in it. If it doesn't, I do have some replacements. And if the laser was known good, oh, there you go, start application. Looks like it was just struggling a little bit. Maybe we just need to clean the mechanism inside there. Let's turn the volume up. It did it. Awesome. That motor will definitely require some attention, and when I list this on my store, I'll make sure to disclose anything that I did, any services, if I changed out any parts. Look at that. One of the most beautiful gaming consoles ever made. So once I'm done making sure that this loads all the way to gameplay, I'll end up switching it out for a game that has scratches, just so I can get a good idea of where the laser is as far as its lifespan. So, okay. I'm gonna move on to the next one so that you don't have to go through all this. Okay, and I changed my mind. I actually wanted to show you guys that, you know, this is how not just smoke and mirrors, and that it does work. So we loaded into the actual game. That legendary narrating voice. Those beautiful 32-bit graphics. Yes, yes, yes. Little FMB right here. Alright, so let's move on to the third console. Alright, and last but not least, we have our original Xbox. I think that's what everybody calls it, right? Original OG Xbox. It's kind of confusing that Microsoft went with the same name for every single console. And we got it hooked up. I've had a lot of bad luck with OG Xboxes recently, and honestly, a lot of times it's not worth repairing them when they don't want to read or what have you. It's best to just mod them and just do all the stuff where you put tons of games in or whatever. This one did come with a controller, however, it didn't come with the little dongle piece. But if you recall, our one rule was to have spares for everything. Okay, so let's try. Hopefully it'll work. Fingers crossed. Start just by powering. And if it does happen to work, we're gonna be, oh, well, sorry, it does power up. We're gonna be trying out Star Wars, the original trilogy. It blows my mind that these games have been coming out for that long. And it just so happens that this one has some light wear. I think this might have been resurfaced at one point, but let's just get to it. And once we're done with these are all gonna get thoroughly clean. I take these fully apart. I expect to find hair and all sorts of dust in there. If you're not very comfortable, oh wow, look at that. Fingers crossed this is gonna boot. I've found stuff that I don't even want to talk about inside some of these machines. There it goes, there's Lego Darth. So what I was trying to say is, if you're not very comfortable with taking a whole system apart, particularly one that runs off a laser, you should make sure that you have some of these in stock. some of these discs for cleaning lasers, all they really are, it's pretty simple. They have these little bristles in there that gently wipe your laser head. So something to think about, something to keep. I don't particularly have any brand that I'm married to. If you buy CDs off auctions and garage sales, you're going to come across them eventually, sooner or later, just as you're going to come across good movies that sell for a lot, expensive games, cheap games, etc., etc. So our game is working. So we lucked out today. We had 3 out of 3 consoles that work straight out of the box. That's great. Now I got a couple of hours worth of cleaning, because everything in the store, if you're a seller that's worth your weight or worth your salt, or however you say it, everything that you sell needs to be cleaned, and you need to be transparent, and you need to add all the details possible for every listing. There's guys out there that are going to tell you, I don't have time for that, I've never had a problem, yada yada yada. But at least here in my store, ERG, Eddie's Retro Games, we believe that our reputation matters, and every single item that passes through the store has been tested and confirmed to be working or in the exact condition that we describe it. And we think that that's the reason, or actually, we're firm believers of this, and it's a reason why all of our feedback is nothing but rave reviews. Okay, well, our game loaded, and so now, like I mentioned before, I got a whole lot of cleaning to do, but that's the day in the life of a games collector and reseller. Thanks for joining us. If you want to see the result of what these end up looking like, make sure to follow us on all the social media platforms. I tend to do a lot of before and afters, particularly on my Eddie's Retro Games Facebook page. Thanks.